Bastards. Today I want to talk about a very important piece of survival gear that not many preppers actually talk about, or a few I've seen talk about, but it's not something that is that mainstream, and it's kind of baffling my mind, to be honest, because this is such an important thing that people, families throughout history always had this in their homes. And probably they didn't even know why, but they knew it worked. What am I talking about? I'm talking about copper, in specific copper kettles. Why? I've mentioned this in a few videos, but copper kettles are are actually they can kill pathogens like bacteria, fungus, viruses. So yeah, and for people who doubt about the effectiveness of this, humans knew from the even from the Egyptian time that copper could kill bacteria. There is an instance where there where there were some writings on papyrus, I believe, were talking about soldiers with copper swords who put their copper swords onto their wounds, and then they would have more chance to survive after a battle than the soldiers who did not. So even Egyptian soldiers knew that there was something about the material copper that could disinfect wounds, but they probably did not know exactly the reason why, because people did not know yet about bacteria and pathogens, but they saw a causation with it. Another instance, for examples where they discovered this is during the 18th century. There was a French doctor who noticed that with the cholera and other diseases that were plaguing Paris at the time, he made a notice that a certain group of people did not got less sick and died. Who were these people? Well, they were people who worked in factories where they were surrounded by a lot of copper, worked with metals, especially copper, and he noticed that people who worked over there had less chance to get sick and die. And it was not just it was not just a few people, but it were a lot of people. He noticed a big percentage. So even that. So even this, I did some research before I started this to see what the modern scientists say about this, and yeah, it started to pop up that copper and alloys with copper are probably a good solution for or preventing future pandemics. In what way? Well, the thing is, we owe it to ourselves and our society that we do not use more copper in public spaces, because people public spaces like hospitals, the how do you say this, the where you hold on onto a stairs, in stations, doorknobs, they used to be often made of copper. Why? Because it was easy to handle, because it's a soft material, and they probably knew there was something about it that how do you say this, that could prevent the spreading of disease in some way. But the thing is, we as a society shifted from that. Uh, yeah, why? Because the rust-free steel is cheaper. It's made in mass, and it doesn't require that lot of maintenance. That's the thing. That's something that copper does not have. Copper, over without good maintenance, like cleaning, copper putzing, it starts to give a green like oxidation. If you perhaps can see the green, you probably see the green spots in here. So yeah, that's the reason why copper is not used that much anymore, and because it's very expensive. But and yeah, the thing is, probably because copper is more expensive, people will tend to steal those things more, like doorknobs, rail holders at in public buildings, hospitals, and such. So yeah, it's because of that copper is not yet used anymore. But imagine if we use copper as doorknobs to open doors, hold on where we hold on the stairs, and yeah, you do not need to disinfect those things in contrary to the pandemics what we saw. So yeah, people touch it and keep many people touch it, but the bacteria and the pathogens that carry the disease die within seconds to minutes in contact with copper. So yeah, that's uh, that's something to think about, and that's why this is an often forgotten and, in my opinion, one of the most important things you can put in your preps. Uh, Simple copper kettle. Uh, yeah, that's why I'm these days always looking for copper kettles, and I'm talking about proper copper kettles because you have to be very careful. A lot of things that looks like copper have just are just for show. It's like very flat on the outside, but the inside is made with another kind of metal that isn't copper. So be very carefully about that when you see something on a flea market or in a store that that is more for decoration than for something handy. This is my kettle for my distillate kettle to make alcohol, and yeah, I prefer to make alcohol with this. Why? Because when I'm done with making the alcohol, it cleans itself. There is no fungus, no pathogens from something that is left behind. So it's almost self-cleaning. And yeah, I need some maintenance with copper. It's not really an oil, but you know what I mean, to clean copper. That's a product. But yeah, that's some way to keep make alcohol and have less chance that the next time you make alcohol in it, it will start that it does not start to contaminate your new batch of alcohol. So that's why I prefer to stoke with copper kettles. Another thing that I noticed, I once did a 7 day test by cutting off my house from electricity and water. So what did I do to get clean water? Because yeah, I could use my filters, but I was looking to test my long-term survival preps. So I used my copper kettles to put water in it and let it stay for many hours to be sure. So usually I waited around 10 hours to and often like this I use it to do more to how do you say this, to for more sanitation, like something to clean your hands, to wash your body, to clean your teeth and such things. So it's more for because if I would use it for food and water, I would keep it in longer just to be sure, just to be safe. And of course, first filter the water before you put it into the copper, because yeah, you do not. If you put dirty water in it, it will stay dirty, but it will kill the pathogens. So, but the less materials there is in the copper kettle, the faster the bacteria and other viruses and other pathogens will die. But in those 7 days that I used this, I never got sick. Uh, I don't know if it's coincidence, but it's something that I noticed. I used rainwater for it. So yeah, it seems to work, and all the science say it worked, and people from even ancient times know that it work. So yeah, you can get clean drinking water by keeping it in copper kettles and let it rest in for at least 10 hours just to be sure. They say that it could kill pathogens from in within even an hour, but I like to just to be sure. But yeah, copper. If you, I would advise to all preppers now, if you find a copper kettle or a copper bowl, a copper, uh, not really glass. How do you say this? Copper mug. Buy it. It's a good investment, and yeah, copper will get more expensive in the future. And it's kind of it's like a precious metal. But in contrary to like silver, silver is also bacteria could also kill pathogens in a way. But yeah, I prefer, to be honest, copper because yeah, it's proven to be work faster. It's less. There is something with silver that does something with you that is not healthy if you get ingested it too much. So yeah, copper is a very good precious metal to invest in. Is perhaps the correct thing to say. So yeah, get clean water for all time. And another benefit of copper is if you have a pan, a bowl, or yeah, something like that with copper, and you start to bake or boil things in it, it will go faster because copper is is a very good conductor. In it will take a lot of more heat, like gas of electricity or wood fire, to heat up a steel pan than a copper pan because and the beneficial thing of that is you need less energy to cook or boil your water and food. So that's another benefit of copper. uh, yeah, so this was just a small rant about the beneficial things for about copper for peppers. It's often forgotten. Please spread the word. If you have a family member or friend who has such things, tell them to not throw it away, or that you can take it from that you can take or buy it from them. So yeah, it's something that lasts for generations if you have the good maintenance. Yeah, subscribe. I would really appreciate it. If you have other things to say about copper that I perhaps did not know or haven't not found yet with the research, let me know. I'm always in for learning. Uh, yeah, if you got other ideas that you can do with copper, perhaps if you experimented with, if you just have a regular metal bowl and you put copper cubes in it, will it be equal as efficient as in a if you put it for 10 hours in it as with a bowl made of copper? Please let me know. I'm very curious about it, or give me sources that indicate me to such results or something like that, so I can learn from it and other people can learn from it too. Subscribe, like, leave a reaction. Yeah, thank you for watching and see you in the next video. Bye.